Welcome guys to this third video in a 3-video series about appreciating seasons and times. In the first video, we really unpacked the biggest lie we sometimes believe about our seasons. If you want to catch up on that video, you're welcome to click over here. And in the second video, we discussed how to harness the potential of every single season to our advantage. If you want to catch up on that one, click on this link here. In this final video, we want to talk about discovering the purpose of my season. And you know what? If I can't get that right, what do I do? What do I do if I don't understand the purpose of a season? My name is Emile Raubenheimer. Thank you for watching. Let's dive right in. I think one of the best stories to understand the purpose of a season is the story of Joseph. So Joseph is a kid, he's one of the youngest kids of a guy called Jacob. In fact, he's the 11th of 12 children, and he's really loved by his father to such an extent that he gives him a coat and he distinguishes him above all his brothers that really are working quite hard. And so he has this idea that he's special, which in his father's eyes, he is. But this goes to his head and he starts to dream. He starts to have these dreams that his brothers bow down to him. And he tells them this. He tells them the story that they're going to bow down to him, which you can imagine they didn't take very well. Subsequently, he has a second dream where not only his brothers, but also his father and mother bow down to him. And this goes down even worse. And so the brothers begin to make a plan to get rid of Joseph. They don't want him there anymore. He's derogatory to them to some extent. And so they capture him one day, they throw him in a pit, and they tell their father that he was killed by a wild animal, putting blood over his cloak. And he's sold into slavery. This kid, who is the most beloved kid in his father's house and has almost a higher level of esteem with his father, is sold into slavery. And this Israelite has to go work as a house servant in Potiphar's house, who is an attaché to the Pharaoh of Egypt at the time. So he's now a slave in a foreign country, in a language he doesn't understand, and he's serving some rich guy. And in that season of his life, he works in excellence. Despite him being in a very unfair situation, he works in excellence. His wife, the Potiphar's wife, starts to have feelings for Joseph and tries to lure him into situations where he doesn't want to engage, until she forces herself on him. And he runs away, but she rips off a piece of his cloak and tells her husband that Joseph forced herself on him. And so as a result, he's found guilty and he's thrown in prison. He has more authority in the prison because of his excellence, and he's entrusted with more responsibility. And two of the servants of Pharaoh have dreams the same night, and they're troubled by them. They don't know what to do with them. Joseph is able to, with God's help, explain to them what they mean. The one is really good news. You'll be restored to your position. The other one is very bad news. And so he asks the man with the good news to remember him. And obviously the guy forgets. 2 years later, finally, Pharaoh has a dream. They remember about Joseph. He becomes the second most powerful man in the kingdom of a foreign nation where he's actually a slave. And during a season of famine, his family bows down to him and are saved because of the work he did in Egypt to prevent famine. The crazy thing about this story is that from when Joseph has the dream and is sold into slavery to when the dream comes to fruition is 14 years. And in those 14 years, Joseph goes through a lot of really unjust things, to be honest. He goes and has to work as a slave that he doesn't deserve, and his own family put him in that position. He's then accused of something he didn't do and has to serve a prison sentence before God ultimately restores him into power. And the question that I journey with is 14 years is a long time to suffer injustice. And in those 14 years, he lives in excellence. He does everything that he does with a different spirit. And I wonder if his journey would have been the same had he not had the dream in the beginning. Imagine going through all of that suffering and injustice and unrighteousness and not having any hope to hold on to. In my own personal life, and I think maybe this will resonate with some of you, I had a dream. God told me to go start a business. Now, when you hear that, what do you hear? You're like, ooh, God told him to go start a business. So this must mean the business will be successful, isn't it? Obviously, why would God set me up for failure? And so, rosy-eyed, super optimistic, I start this business, and it is the most difficult 7 years of my life. And God takes us through an incredible journey as a family in those 7 years. And 7 years later, reflecting on this journey, I discovered that the only reason why I engaged that really challenging season of my life for so long was because of the dream God gave me in the beginning. But in God's mind, the dream was not the point. The success was never the point. And in fact, never something that he promised. Because all of that was preparation for a next season in my life. And the question is that not more valuable than the success that we sometimes experience or expect? And I was really confronted with this question in my life to say, how do I measure the value of a season? Is it by its success and by its comfort and by how it makes you feel and look in front of other people? Or is it by the work that happens beneath the surface, the depth of the roots that I'm able to craft? Because God has a plan. And even though I don't understand that, how do I engage with it? And so I think we have this dichotomy of two challenges. The one side, we want to understand the purpose of a season. And sometimes we do. We have this dream like Joseph in the beginning. And although we don't necessarily understand how Potiphar and the prison season fits into that, we know it does because God has plans, good plans for us. And he makes all things work together for our good. And we know that he sent us into those seasons because there was a dream despite the injustice. And so that helps us to frame the seasons. But the question is, what do we do when we don't have that? What do we do when we go into seasons that we don't understand? And here I think it's not so much about understanding the purpose, but about learning to trust the coach. Imagine this for a second. If you get up every single day and you run up the mountains at full speed, multiple repeats until you puke, and then you come home for an excruciating ice bath, and then you go to a physio to just suffer through the most uncomfortable massage you've ever had in your life, and then tomorrow morning you wake up and you do it again. And you have no idea why. Is that not hell? Is that not suffering in the nth degree to know what is coming tomorrow? You know it's not going to be pleasant. You know it is not going to be comfortable. And you also don't know why you have to go through it. That is suffering. That is hell, is it not? Now imagine that you are training for the Olympics. The suffering is the same. The challenge is the same. The sacrifice is exactly the same. But all of a sudden, something that was suffering before, because of the existence of a purpose, changes into discipline. Isn't that incredible? Just the way in which we approach a particular experience changes that entire experience for us. And if we do not know what we are being prepared for, are we still willing to trust our coach? Because he knows the plans that he has for us, and he is preparing for us if we submit as an athlete to say, he is the best coach, and he knows how to bring the most value, the biggest spectrum of God colors out of my life. Because he designed me. And if I would just allow him and trust him with that process, does the season really matter? And so I want to challenge you today. Perhaps the biggest battle you're facing is your ability to trust the coach, because it's really tough to trust somebody you don't know. And if you don't know your coach, if you don't know who your God is and how infinitely, intentionally he's woven you together, that's going to be a tough ask for you. And I hope in this next season you will discover that he is an incredible coach and a loving father that designed you with intent and purpose. Thank you for watching. It's been a privilege.